Picture the scene. Life treats you well. So well, in fact, that you've replaced the chauffeur with a pilot. Naturally, you keep an apartment in a tax haven, let's say Monaco, where you also moor a big yacht. A really big yacht. But what sort of car might you be interested in? Well, how about one of these? The Mercedes CL65, the ultimate Benz for £120,000. I wanted to play at being a multi-millionaire for the day by testing the car in the hills and going for a spin around the Grand Prix circuit, but first by indulging in the interior. As you'd expect, there's immaculately stitched Napa leather, an Alcantara roof, and seats that can be heated or cooled. There's widescreen sat-nav, and if you don't like the wood surround, then specify the optional granite instead. As always, it's the detail that impresses most. Take these seats, for example. They've got magnesium frames and Amazonian coconut husk padding. And this little perforation pattern is an exclusive design. The passenger seats even got a weight-sensing membrane that dictates how strongly the airbag is deployed. But don't be misled, this is not the ultimate Benz because the interior is full of trivia. It's the ultimate Benz because of this. A hand-built V12. It's the engine out of the Maybach that's normally tuned to be smooth and swift. But the mad professors of AMG have turned it into one of the most powerful engines in the world with 612 horsepower. 612! Now that's supercar territory. The only road cars we know that have more power are the McLaren F1, the Enzo Ferrari and the Koenigsegg. So how on earth have Mercedes made so much power? Apparently they've bored out the cylinders, raised the camshaft lift, extended the crankshaft stroke, increased the piston pin size, improved the conrod bearings, blueprinted the cylinder heads, beefed up the oil pump, increased the injection valve openings and fitted bigger turbochargers. Now they tell me they'll do 0 to 62 in just 4.4 seconds. Show me the keys. It's hard to really describe what 612 horsepower feels like. You could say it's a wall of power, or it pushes you into your seat. To be honest, in a car of this size, I'd more use the word frightening. In fact, apparently when they first designed this engine, they had 1,200 newton-meters of torque. In order for the poor old transmission to survive, they've actually detuned it to only 1,000 newton-meters. Of course, there are a few of the modern-day Mercedes frustrations. First of all, the speed is limited to 155 miles an hour, which makes it even worse by the fact they give you a 220-mile-an-hour speedometer, or in this case, 360 kilometres. Then, of course, there's the fact that the V12 only revs to about 5,800 RPM, whereas I'd expected it to be some 8,000 RPM wailing music in my ears. And finally, you have to have the automatic gearbox, 5-speed auto, which won't change down exactly when you want it to. And for a real driver, you'd like to be able to be in control of your gears. I'm afraid those compromises and the unwieldy handling means this is a car more suited to motorways than twisty roads. But the CL65 should also feel at home, gently posing around that lap of the GP circuit that I'd promised myself. Up the start-finish straight of the Monaco Grand Prix, where on race day there aren't any speed bumps. But you'd scream under these trees at about 150, 60 miles an hour probably, braking for Saint-Devoux, which I don't remember being so uphill. Surprising in a road car. The approach to Casino Square, incredibly narrow for a Grand Prix track. There's the famous casino ahead of you, but you can't really look at it too much. Past the tip-top bar on the left, another of the little after-race drinking clubs, famed for the old days of Graham Hill and Jim Clark and Sterling Moss. Used to be Mike Hawthorne. I used to drink alcohol in those days, whereas now the Racing drivers disappear into their little Monaco apartments. And of course, having turned right on the seafront, next up comes the tunnel. They make a lot of fuss about this going into the dark, but it's actually very open on the left. It's not that dark. But I remember I raced Jaguar XJR 15s I raced, and this wasn't full throttle, so we were opposite looking at about 140, 130 in those evil old Jags. As we get down to these amazing yachts, which just obscene amounts of money. They've got helicopters on their yachts nowadays. All this is reclaimed ground. It keeps on getting bigger and bigger, Monaco. And having got round Rascasse, there was always a quick, short burst of full throttle, cambered road, dragging the car into the gutter. And then this final right-hander, back onto the start-finish straights. Check the pit board, try and get some breath, because even the start-finish straight isn't straight. It just does your mind in driving around here at those sort of speeds.
My lap round memory lane hadn't warmed me to the CL65. It may be more powerful than the F1 car I raced around here, but it just isn't the sporting drive I'd hoped for. But for the fortunate 20 who'll take delivery in the UK this year, it is ideal as another sleek display of wealth.